Hey, I'm delighted we've got Demian here, and he's one of the founders of TreeCoin, which is a really, really interesting new concept. So, hey, welcome, Demian. Why don't you, to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Good to be here. So I came from a kind of renewables and climate interest background, really as a schoolboy. How does technology fit with nature, and how can we make it sustainable win-win? Was my jam from the get-go. So yeah, I've been in that clean tech space, and building climate solutions by empowering people with technology is now how I umbrella term what I'm all about.
Isn't it great in today's world how doing the right thing by the climate is actually a profitable enterprise, right? It's fantastic. It doesn't rely on the government so much nowadays.
Best business opportunity in the world.
That's right, massive market. So, and of course, you and I got to know each other when I had a solar business many, many moons ago, back in 2007 to 2011. We've known each other ever since. So why don't we go back to the start of TreeCoin? And was it your idea, or did someone else come up with the idea?
Well, Seth Hawkins is the conceiver of the concept. So as the years went by, I was in friendship with that man and watched him grow in business and life. And we were actually helping each other out understand financial markets. And I was really curious about what he'd already learned about how money works, what markets are, and how to understand economics, really, from a personal wealth perspective as well. And just dropped it one day, this concept, which I think is an absolute game changer about aligning an actual currency with carbon drawdown, given the context, state of the world, where we're heading, where we need to head, and where technology is at now. It just all came together, and I just was compelled to jump on and think that this could make a difference.
So let's get into that, because I think the reality is it's, the world's going to need a lot of trees being planted, and we've got some big challenges ahead of us as society, as the human race, to get on top of this game. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about, well, what is TreeCoin, and what's the purpose of it, and what's the benefit of it?
Yeah, so, well, I see it as a way to accelerate the reforestation of the planet and to rebalance our atmosphere by creating a reward and incentive for those who do that work of bringing back the planet's forests. Given that fossil emissions that are in the air that are causing the issue ultimately came from forests in the first place, which then decomposed down, created fossil fuels over millions of years, and in this short space of time we've pumped it all back up there. So what needs to happen clearly is a restoration of that cycle, and while that's already happening, there's a lot of good work being done around the world by a lot of really good people. What I think this can bring is a new ubiquitous, powerful incentive that will get a vast number more people not just supportive but active, because there's something in it for them.
Planting trees. All right. So the aim of TreeCoin is to create a game-changing environment for tree planting across the world, to resolve, or at least partially resolve, some of these issues on emissions. So let's get a little bit practical for a second here then with TreeCoin. So my understanding is there's two groups of people. There's growers of trees, and there's people who want to offset their carbon. Let's get into each of those in hand. So for someone who is a grower of trees, whether that's a large forestry allotment or a relatively small plot, what's TreeCoin for them, and how does it work?
Yeah, so for those who've got land or access to land and can facilitate the growth of more forests, they'll earn a credit, a digital token for every ton or portion of ton that they draw down, and that can be digitally measured using an easy-to-use system that we're developing. So they gain income, essentially. Now, the form of this is a digital currency token, and what can they do with that? Well, we're aiming to create a kind of commerce environment where personal wealth is climate health, and people can trade and transact and barter in this coin. Start small and grow big. So from a grower perspective, a lot of interest in the value of the carbon that's being drawn down, but a lot of growers don't have ready access to those existing carbon markets. As you know, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and cost, really, and time in the way of actually just getting direct access to that value stream that clearly the climate needs as much good quality reforestation as possible. So everyone participating in that should be able to benefit, and that's where we see the opportunity to just make something that's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a reforestation project, as you know. It's 148 acres, and we're hoping to plant 100,000 trees one day. And I found it so difficult trying to look at the carbon offsets, because everyone that wanted to do that sort of thing wanted to put caveats on my land, and I couldn't touch it for 50 years. I just found it very, very bureaucratic and very difficult. And if that's the experience of the broader population wanting to do the right thing, wanting to plant trees, then there's got to be an easier way. And TreeCoin sounds exactly what I'm looking for anyway in that market. What about the flip side of that? So who's going to be the buyers of these tokens?
Yeah, well, I've been getting pretty passionate about it just this week, actually, talking to our advisory board who are in that whole space, that carbon environment sector. And there's a big picture here, which is that climate needs a lot more than just offsetting the hard-to-offset pollution. Now, the easy-to-offset pollution should just be a given, and must be, in this day and age, must be a given that will be ramping down anyway without needing to have extra incentives for it. There's still going to be some hard to reduce emissions in the short and medium term. So there's an offset market there to address that fact that if we need a safe climate future, we have to decrease the atmospheric pollution that's already up there, not just put a bit less up there. So that's the offset market, and people who need to balance out their emissions, are already paying for tokens of some kind, and we can offer a solution to that space. What my latest thinking is that there's an even bigger market, which is what I call the essential drawdown market, which is the over and above the ongoing pollution, which is going to ramp down but needs to be offset, a much bigger sort of legacy rebalancing of the already emitted pollution that's up there. That needs to be drawn down with this massive effort on all fronts, including mass-scale reforestation. So if we look at that essential drawdown market, that's not about paying for some good here so I can do some bad there, in terms of pay for some TreeCoin here so I can pollute there. It's about us all clubbing together to address the collective problem that's going on in the atmosphere. So I see that as the biggest market in the game to play for. The offset space has got controversy, and we've talked about this around Four Corners that's been out recently in Australia, where there's a real spotlight that is rightfully on those who are polluting should be doing the right thing, not just claiming to do the right thing. And TreeCoin is a simple solution to a big problem, but it's not going to be constrained to just the offset market. It's something much bigger than that. So these people that are going to actually want this enough are those who I think is the majority of our society globally. Just want to be on the right side of history. We can start backing the way we transact and fund and think about our economies in a system that's backed by the tangible climate solution that we all need. Then I think we're looking at a different sort of future for the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few businesses, as you know, but one of them's in the construction industry and hire of equipment. And we have 22 trucks, and we buy about $15,000 a month of diesel.
Mm.
And obviously, over time, we're going to move to electric vehicles. But one of the things that I really like about TreeCoin is I can, with confidence, buy some of these tokens to offset those emissions for the trucks. And there's a whole flotilla of people out there that would love to do the same. I think that don't really have a huge choice at the moment. And the reality is, if you're in the heavy freight industry, there's not a lot of electric alternatives at the moment. So if you're flying on a trip, you get these offsets at $2 or $3. But I suspect they're leveraging, what they're really leveraging is an overseas carbon credit, which probably is actually just avoiding deforestation as opposed to really saving the carbon. So what I like about it's so accessible to just then say, okay, well, what do I need to do to offset our business, and how can I use TreeCoins for that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. It's a really transactable, sort of frictionless system that can make it accessible. And we can build in to our system like localization. So someone wanting to offset an event that's occurred in one region or one country could ensure that the tree coin that they're acquiring has come from trees that are grown in that same region or country. So you could localize that way. I just want to, flag that we're conscious that the carbon offset space is highly regulated and is highly scrutinized, and we're not attempting to solve the regulatory problem. We're putting forward a simple solution, and we think that there'll be a grassroots uptake for that. And we'll be transparent, as everyone should be, about what it is and it isn't. So it's not the same as a highly audited 100-year caveat type approach that others are taking in the right time, the right place. That works.
So having said that, there are safeguards built into TreeCoin where people have to verify they've planted trees and provide evidence that those trees are growing. So, yes, it's not as heavily regulated as, say, carbon credits, but But it's fair to say that there's, to create these coins, you need to be able to pull out evidence of some activity taking place around tree planting and maintenance of those trees, right?
Yeah, it's the real deal. Our system will allow people to use the smartphone and an easy to fly drone for big sites where the tech is measuring the growth that has occurred. So the volume of forest growth is accurate, reliable, trustable, and the carbon drawdown is trustable. So we're also going to build in longevity incentives so that those who keep the forest growing for 10 plus years can earn a more valuable coin for those longer standing plantations or natural forests, and so on as the years go by. So the longer the trees stay there, the more value of coin they can earn. So it's a real carrot approach instead of a stick.
Yes, there's no question. I'm noticing already on our forest, the oldest trees are coming up to 3.5 years old, and some of the trunks are already 10 centimetre diameters, right? There's serious wood growth going on there with the eucalypts particularly. But I know that also when you get a really mature tree, it's 19.5 kilograms of carbon per tree per year, right? So the bigger, older trees are absorbing a lot more than the small young ones that also have a much higher propensity to die off in frosts and what have you. So I think that's a fantastic idea. And also, I guess you've got other systems to verify who the users are, and so it's a real deal, as you say.
Yeah, and it's a pretty smart approach. And where we're at now is we've got a kind of software tech product. So it's a phone-based app that users can actually start to use. It's on TreeCoin.global, and that's our website. You can start to interact with our ecosystem already. And it's just in terms of an update of the company. We're a few years in. We've done an initial fundraise from some angel investors, as you know, and we're got onboarding a tech team and also agricultural sector experts who bring that kind of how do people grow trees in practice expertise to the table, as well as our sort of software team and blockchain team. So we're starting to integrate that kind of digital world and real world disciplines to make something that's user friendly.
So you got your first round of investments gone through.
Yep.
Now building a team, putting a team in place. So what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for TreeCoin?
Yeah, we'll be able to accelerate our app development pathway, so building in features and responding to our first pilot users. So we've got a handful of sites around Australia that are, including your own site, which is that kind of regeneration of forest site, which we're looking forward to being among the first to earn TreeCoin, and similarly other projects around Victoria, here in Australia. And then globally, we've partnered with a forest measurement software platform called Katam, which is a European-based group, and they've got users around 80 countries around the world who are going to be offered the opportunity to earn TreeCoin from their forests that they're already measuring using this tech. So there's quite a strong leverage there. So looking forward to onboarding sort of hopefully an exponentially increasing number of pilot users, building up the treasury of coins that are created. And once they're in the blockchain, it's all secure, and then transactions can start happening, whether it's people choosing to put these coins into their digital wallets and demonstrate that as carbon drawdown credit that more than offsets what they're emitting elsewhere. But also what we're excited to do is set up barter and microeconomies, we call them. So there could be environments where suppliers and buyers are already transacting and would love to have an option to barter in a new way. Now we've got, obviously on the finance side, we've got regulatory compliance front of mind. So we're taking this step by step. And at this stage, it can be a barter option. Like this year, and then moving forward, we'll be working with Silva, our CFO, and the originator, and my co-founder, to embrace that financial regulatory challenge and ultimately get to somewhere where as much value as possible could be drawn into this thing.
Yeah, I'm super excited on the 7th of May. We're going to have those drones go over the forestry project I've got. It's called the Wonga Forest. And so we've planted just under 3,000 trees there so far. So it'd be really interesting to map that from a drone and to see the cover, as you say, and I guess look at the systems that can be used to verify the forestry growth over time. And then, bartering will come down the track next, volunteering, and then, so I guess a year from now, 2 years, the aim is to have a legitimate system where people are actively trading on a financial basis, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be a couple of years off for that one with the regulatory approach and getting our ducks in a row jurisdiction-wise. But the barter side, I think, could be within a year. I'd love to see that within a year, locally, globally. One of our advisory board members, Leah Lewin, runs a company called TreeCreds, which is well known for providing carbon credits for festival events, music festivals, to offset or more than offset that whole festival. So imagine if a festival could offer to its customers a chance to come for a reduced or free ticket based on purchasing a ticket for TreeCoin that its customers grown land, and then inside the festival there could be transactions for food, beverages around. So this is like a little idea of a space where people would be very happy to have this sort of option, and it could snowball from there. Because in the long term, the sky's the limit, pun intended. So it's a case of, and stranger to startup businesses making it from that concept through to prove it through to ultimately have it run on its own momentum. So, and I'm keen to learn from people like yourself, Erik, about that the wisdom that is around what to prioritise when. So hopefully we've got a reasonable, clear, and exciting story now, and it's just going to get more exciting.
Well, I tell you what I do know is people love planting trees. We have these volunteer days. We get 30 or 40 people out planting hundreds and hundreds of trees, and they come out from the cities, and it's just a fantastic day. And getting amongst nature is something I think people really naturally like to do. It's in our DNA to a large extent. So I think a global program that can help people, encourage people to plant trees is just such an awesome idea, and reward people for it at the end of the day, once it's up and running. So tell me, how can people find out more about TreeCoin? Where do they go?
Well, TreeCoin.global is a great start. On our website, there's a mailing list, and LinkedIn, we're on there posting regularly. Our marketing team who are here today doing a great job of sort of spreading the word. So I'd encourage people to jump online, and our contact details are also there. So this is a good time for people with land, pilot growers who'd love to participate, to come on board, people who are in this what we call carbon gateway systems. So they've got tech which helps measure forest volume. We'd love to hear from those people. Angel investors, seed investors, or VCs, start talking to us, and others that we can align with. There's plenty in this space. Ambitious startups are looking to turn this climate challenge into the biggest economic opportunity of our generation.
So there you go. If you want to get involved in TreeCoin, and we need to get the brightest minds and the biggest ideas. And so if you've got any thoughts, ideas, you want to contribute, you want to invest, get onto that website, TreeCoin.global.
TreeCoin.global.
TreeCoin.global. Check that out, and I look forward to having you back in 6 months for another update.